Well, tonight is the night. The Chicago Bulls, the last dance. The last run with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Phil Jackson, along with Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr, and others. It's a trip. I remember it just like yesterday. Now, I'm going to be real. I always think 80s Lakers, 80s Celtics were better teams. I enjoyed watching more. The Bad Boys. Um, the Warriors the last few years, they've been fun to watch. And it wasn't really thinking this Bulls team was fun to watch. Shaq and Kobe, Lakers, they had fun and element, and they had the suspense. But one thing about it, Michael Jordan was very consistent. I don't view him as the GOAT like a lot of people do, but I'll say this though. His tenacity for details to win is up there with anybody in any sport. And Phil Jackson, you appreciate him more and more the further you get away to understand what he meant as a coach. Because something was said this week when Shaq said that his Lakers would have beaten the Bulls team. He said, but who gets Phil Jackson? And that was the common denominator part of it. Michael Jordan is going to be explored, and he's been worried that his imagery will come across negative. He was very meticulous about how he was perceived in the public because he was a product pitchman, and he wanted to be perceived in the best light. So some people may come out of it, but he was what he was. Now, I was chopping up with a buddy of mine. We've been talking about this for years. And I told him, because he's a little young, and I told him, I said, look, Michael Jordan was a bloodhound, okay? You saw Kobe, but Michael Jordan was like next level intense with it. Slap you, beat you up, try to embarrass you, take your milk money. And it didn't matter who it was. It could be the guy cleaning the locker rooms after. Michael Jordan could hustle him, he would, because he was about having last say, that arrogance, that ego. But he brought it on the court. He lived high. Michael Jordan, in some ways, if he was a singer, would have been almost like, I know he'd be often more compared to Michael Jackson because of the MJ thing, but it was like also like a Sinatra type because he would party and live hard and have a good time. Remember, there was no social media. But he'd be doing his thing, come back next game and bust your cakes and go off and talk trash to you and try to embarrass you and look for anything. He was beyond psychic. He was psycho. He was crazy with it. But the whole triangle offense, the way they utilize, when you think about Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman, and remember that Rodman was part of the Bad Boys and gave Scottie a headache and all that, and then they worked up together and they three-peated and were on a historical run, beat the Utah Jazz to win the title, had to go through the Indiana Pacers with Larry Bird as the coach with Reggie Miller, and that was a very strategic thing. And I still believe Larry Bird had been out there for the Pacers, because in all due respect to Reggie Miller, when your coach is better than what you got on the squad, he's still, I know Larry Bird would have figured out how to beat him because he did have a better head-to-head matchup, but that's another story. But anyway, the thing is this. It's going to explore the greatness, the contradictions, the craziness. And of course, Jerry Krause, the general manager, and Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, always say teams win titles, not players. How's that turned out for Chicago since then? Because you saw what they did with Derrick Rose, how they blew his career out in 2012 pretty much. Went to Eastern Conference Championship, but they haven't really been relevant in terms of being, a factor. So let's call it what it is. But this should be varying, with no other sport going on, especially with the NBA gone. This is what's going to come out in June now. It's out now. It's a 10-part series. It's going to explore the things that the intensity, the greatness of Michael Jordan, the greatness of Phil Jackson, the greatness of Scottie Pippen, the greatness of Dennis Rodman, the integral parts of Steve Kerr and others. You will see how it all plays out exclusively. What it took a team to do it one last time, and how it, ended. And personally, for me, how I should end it for Michael Jordan, because he did okay in Washington, but come on now. He pushed off Byron Russell. That shot is how you want to walk off your career. That's like walking on water. You couldn't have had a better ending. Close the decade, close it off. That's what you want. Exclamation. Solidify yourself as one of the all-time greats. That's how everybody wants to. If you can go out on top, you ain't never got to ask questions. You just don't want to be that dude that had that great dance, and then you're at the bar at 2 a.m. still trying to get one last hit, and everybody in the bartender closed up, and you still sitting there talking about, can I get it again? The Bulls had did it. They were the NBA team of the 90s, and Michael Jordan was representative And as a product endorsement, pitchman, etc., it was an incredible time. You know, call them the Jackson Five, if you will. You know, you knew who was running the ship, but you also saw the defiance and the odds and the craziness that made that all that magical for some. So it's 10-part series. First two parts of tonight. It'll explore a whole lot of dynamics, the impact, the legacy, and also the influence it's had on other teams since. A lot of people tipped their cap and looked up to this, and this will be, and of course, hopefully it starts other documentaries. Because I know in years, hopefully there'll be a Golden State documentary, LeBron in Miami, LeBron in Cleveland, all these other odysseys, Shaq and Kobe and the Lakers, all that. But this will be very compelling. I wish there was a Larry Bird one in Boston with Parrish and McHale, or the Sixers with Moses Malone, Dr. J, and Andrew Toney and them, because that was one of my favorite years. And the Showtime Lakers, because there's a lot of compelling ones. Of course, Russell and the Celtics, and we can go back to Timberland Lakers, all that. Everybody should have a real wish there was more footage of all that, because it's a lot of compelling stories that have captured the NBA and entertainment. But anyway, that's my thoughts and takes about The Last Stand, Chicago Bulls, the premiere of it tonight. Looking forward to it, Michael Jordan, all that. Give me your thoughts and takes at the like, subscribe, and the bell rings in the video. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for one another. And for folks who weren't a part of it, watch it and see where basketball was to see where it is, and ask yourself, is the game as good as it was, gotten better? What's your thoughts? Because history is history, and it's important to observe. I'm out.